Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. We're streaming out live on Facebook Live, X, Rumble, YouTube Live, also on BitChute, as well as on the audio streams after the program. We're also streaming out for our listeners at alternatecurrentradio.com and 21stcenturywire.com. It's great to have you with us. We've got a powerful show for you lined up today. We'll be doing an opening segment looking at everything Iran and Trump, the collapse of the U.S. empire, and also in Overdrive. We'll be joined by our teammates, hopefully from the Alternate Current Radio Network, Hesher, Ruckus, possibly Basil Valentine. We'll be keeping an eye on the green room to see who's going to drop in to talk to us this week. This is episode 586 of this weekly Omnibus News and Analysis TV and radio program. And we got a lot of ground to cover here. And we're also going to recognize some of the people who have donated and really stepped up for us for this winter fundraising drive. We ran a bonus push to try to exceed our goal. And I think we're nearly there. We've just about made it. We'll talk about that during the break. If you want to get involved on the donation side, just go to our website or hit that QR code, which is on the screen right now. That'll take you to our landing page. And we're very close to hitting that bonus round. So we're about $500 short, and hopefully we're going to make that up by the end of this program. So I want to thank everybody who has helped us. We'll also read off some of those names as well during the Overdrive break just after the intermission there. Now, guys, we got a lot of ground to cover here, and I'm going to bring up onto the stage some of our more salient points here. This is the Iran conflict is now in day 15 officially. So you guys, look, what you're seeing in the news and what's actually happening is becoming more and more evident. These are two different realities. There's heavy censorship on the U.S. side. We'll talk about that and the implications of this in a few minutes now. And also, there's also heavy censorship on the Israeli side. So you're not seeing a lot of the scenes from Tel Aviv. So I think, the American public and people in the West are getting a very distorted view, getting a very distorted view of what's actually happening. And we're going to try to redress some of those inconsistencies, contradictions, and just the outright war propaganda that you're seeing right now. And the thing you have to understand is, and this is a good sort of jump off point, and we'll get to the task at hand in just a moment here. But what you have to understand is, if you followed the war in Ukraine, okay, from February 2022, I made this point before, and I think it's worth reiterating. If you followed that, you would have thought, having looked at all of the Western mainstream media coverage. Now, I'm also including the British press, the European press, everybody. If you followed the mainstream press and listened to our politicians, they all basically said the same. They were singing the same tune. And that tune was this, that Russia is on the verge of collapse. Russia is running out of bullets. Putin's in hiding. The Russians, the army's a spent force. They're out there fighting with shovels. They literally said that. They ran stories in the Western press that Russia ran out of guns and they're out there with shovels, and that Russia's lost 1.5 million Russian soldiers. I mean, they're just making up outlandish numbers. And conversely, they're telling you that Ukraine hasn't lost anybody. The Ukrainians absolutely scot-free, perfect, no casualties at all, just maybe a few soldiers here and there. They're routing the Russians, and let's just get behind them. More money, more weapons, and we're going to have regime change in Moscow by the end of the counteroffensive. They ran with this for 3 straight years, and guess what? Everything that was said for 3 years turned out to be not only false, but the opposite is true. The Ukrainian armed forces have more or less collapsed on the front lines. Russia is not a spent force. In fact, they've mobilized. It's a rout, okay? And it's widely acknowledged that Russia has already won that war. So think about that for a moment when you're looking at the Iran coverage right now. What makes you think that they're not running the same full spectrum information war with this conflict with Iran? And if you believe the U.S. reports or statements by Trump, and they're saying that, oh, we've wiped out their entire navy, we've wiped out their air force, we've wiped out all their missiles, there's nothing left in Iran. Quite frankly, we're running out of targets, says Trump. I mean, it's clownish. It's clownish. Okay, they are running the same information war. They are, and so because the West now regards the media as part of the military operation, so much so that any negative reporting they consider a threat to national security. It's literally codified in their new total war doctrines. They call it fifth generation warfare. We just call it public opinion and media and press. Okay, you don't need fancy military terms to basically come up with some innovative label to somehow weaponize public opinion and information and truth. Okay, these warmongering maniacs are just, they've turned the media scape into an absolute festival of lies and propaganda. And they call it fifth generation warfare. They don't care what's true. All they care about is they want to get you, the public, to manufacture consent for a very unpopular war. We talked about the polling last week. 1 out of every 4 Americans think that this war in Iran is a good idea, and that's currently plummeting by the minute. Okay, if you ran real-time polling on this, you'll see it going down, 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 down. Okay, there's no support for this conflict. It's an undeclared, unprovoked, illegal war of aggression by the Trump administration, and they made up 10 different flimsy excuses as to why they had to attack. And the only person really telling the truth is probably, incidentally, by accident, Marco Rubio, who said that they had to go in preemptively, as they call it, because Israel was going anyway. And if the U.S. didn't go in with Israel, then the U.S. might get retaliation from the Iranians. So they might as well do a preemptive illegal war in the first place. Okay, that's not a serious explanation. But then again, these people are absolutely desperate. So that's the first thing. So let's get to the task at hand here. This is the program today, and the theme of today's show is we're talking about the collapse of an empire. Okay, the Iran war, the implosion of Trump, and the U.S. empire. Okay, it is times like this, it is events like this, just the naked, wanton, just train wreck that you're watching right now in real time. These are the things that punctuate the collapse of empires throughout history. It's important that everybody understands what we are witnessing right now. Okay. Now, that's not to say the U.S. can't do tremendous damage, and they haven't killed thousands of Iranians. Okay. The U.S. has killed, to the last count I saw, over 1,500 Iranian civilians. Okay. They're just getting warmed up, apparently, but maybe not. They're also running out of munitions. They're also running out of air refueling tankers, 5 of which just got smashed on the tarmac in the Saudi Arabian Air Force Base, where the U.S. were hiding these planes. Iran found them, sent missiles, and smashed them to pieces. Okay, you're not reading about that. And there was an air-to-air refueling. 2 of them allegedly collided over Kuwait. Okay, very bizarre. And they said, oh, it was an accident. It was friendly on friendly. But that's interesting, because now you see there's no U.S. planes flying over the airspace in Kuwait. So if they didn't get shot down, why are no planes flying over Kuwaiti airspace? So we're not going to get a straight answer from this government, because they're just paranoid right now. They're cratering in the polls on this. They're losing aircraft, record number of losses of aircraft and drones for any U.S. conflict, probably going back to the Vietnam War. So call that a success if you must. But anyway, they think they can kill their way to victory here. So let's look at the bigger picture here. Okay. And we will put some meat on the bones of this analysis. Now, when I was talking about the propaganda war, if Iran's military was wiped out, as Trump claims, okay, actually, let's bring him up on screen. Let's bring Trump up. Might as well hear it from the horse's mouth, folks. So we'll bring the Don, the president. We'll bring him up on screen in just a moment. So this is what Trump is saying.
Is that a great name? Well, it's only good if you win. You know, you can only do. And we've won. Let me tell you, we've won. You know, you never like to say too early you won. We won. We won the bet. In the first hour, it was over. But we won. But they gave me a list of names at General. Sir, you can pick the name you'd like, sir. I said, the name of what? The name of the attack on Iran, sir. And they gave me like 20 names. And I'm like falling asleep. I didn't like any of them.
You know, he says he's falling asleep. Yeah, that's about the only truthful thing Trump said right there. Just look at the people behind Trump. You know, that's what's left. It's literally the bottom of the barrel. Okay, it is literally, as they say in French, cul du sac, the bottom of the bag, MAGA slop. Okay, this is what's left, and they parade them in the background for optics to make it look like Trump has popular support. All the polling shows he doesn't. Not only does Trump not have popular support, this is the lowest approval rating for a U.S. war since the Vietnam War. It's not epic fury, folks. It's epic fail. It is epic fail. You're watching it. And this clown, this sorry excuse for a president, is basically trying to run, you know, watching his speeches. It's like Dean Martin's celebrity roast. I mean, it was entertaining on the campaign trail. But, you know, enough already. Enough already. I'm looking for a real legitimate president. I couldn't find one for love nor money. This is Donald Trump, folks. Absolutely embarrassing. But anyway, watch him hoist himself by his own petard here.
Then I see epic fury. I said, I like that name. I like that name.
I like that name. I mean, it's a joke. This guy is so detached from reality. It's so he says we won in the first hour. That was 2 weeks ago. Really? Why are the U.S. still losing aircraft? Why are they suppressing the number of dead U.S. soldiers? By all reports, that the hospitals in Germany and Kuwait are full. And you're telling me there's only 7 dead U.S. servicemen when 24 U.S. bases and facilities have taken direct hits? That's not all they're suppressing. Anyway, they'll slowly drip feed the numbers out as they normally do because, as we said, this is total warfare, fifth generation warfare. They can't risk losing public support, even though they've lost it already. These people have really painted themselves into an incredible corner here. So if Trump is correct, then how come Iran, just 2 days ago, launched the 37th missile barrage? And it was the most missiles yet. That's interesting. That kind of goes against every claim that we've heard from every U.S. official that they've wiped out most of their missile capable nodes. Not only is it the most number of missiles, the missiles that Iran are launching right now have larger payloads, larger explosive payloads. Now, I said this 2 weeks ago because I had just come back from Tehran. We had met people who are involved in the missile program. They spoke to the press. And so I relayed that on a number of media outlets in the U.S., including ours, that when Iran depletes the air defense, Patriot missile batteries, Iron Dome batteries, THAAD missile batteries, with all of their drones and older missiles and some smaller missiles, once the air defense, for the most part, the interceptors are depleted, then they're going to send the heavy missiles with the huge explosive payloads, because they'll be able to get through the air defense which they've been consistently puncturing for 2 weeks, but it's really devastating now. And that's why there's so much censorship as to what's actually happening in Israel, for instance. And so we're starting to see some of the things leak out. So, I mean, this president is a joke at this point. I mean, here's a scene from Tel Aviv. You want to see what's happening in Israel? Well, you won't see this on the U.S. mainstream media, unfortunately. It sort of looks like this. That's an underground bunker. That's where the Israelis go to hide when there's a missile barrage. So Iran has been able to penetrate the shelters, the Israeli shelters, and are laying waste to massive amount of facilities in Israel, military targets, not to mention all the U.S. bases that have been hit. And they're suppressing this. In the Arab countries, if you report in the UAE, for instance, it's an imprisonable offense to put any of this on social media. You could get arrested in Israel. That's how desperate they are to basically cover up all of these scenes. That's what's actually happening. So, where's Trump coming from on this? Okay, so his reaction is just to hit civilian targets, civilian infrastructure in Iran, and when they go for, and we'll talk about the other targets that the U.S. are hitting as well, and how this is going to backfire dramatically on them. So, I mean, this is just the way it is. So, why don't they just come clean with the public on what's actually happening? It's all or nothing now. These people are doubling down. This is so dangerous right now. And we'll bring this analysis back on stage here. So that's what's happening. Slow motion train wreck here. Now, I want to give a shout out to Freddie Ponton, who published this on Friday morning. Okay, the Karg Island obsession. The shot Washington was too smart to take in 1980. So Freddie Ponton at 21st Century Wire published this in the morning, talking about how the U.S. is an imminent strike that's going to happen. Okay, Freddie is an excellent analyst, and researcher. Okay, that was Friday morning. Trump then bombed Karg Island by dinner time. Okay, that's how accurate our reporting is. Laser focused, very accurate, and I was surprised and a little bit horrified at how accurate this reporting was. Nonetheless, it's tragic what's happening, but we're just saying that we are doing incredibly precise analysis and reporting. And thank you, Freddie Ponton, for an excellent report. And the historical context of this, you have to read. Then you can really understand all the different risks, as well as if Trump or if the U.S. decide to hit Iran's petroleum facilities on Karg Island, Iran will then respond and hit the Gulf's petroleum facilities. And then basically, folks, we have a global catastrophe on our hands, economically and also in terms of energy shortages. So is Trump willing to push it that far? We don't know. It depends how crazy and desperate Israel are, because they're running U.S. foreign policy at the moment, not the United States. We'll see, unless there's a coup in Washington. But who's holding their breath for that? I'm certainly not holding my breath on that. So this was Trump's reaction, okay? This clown of a president. This is what he said. Trump claims U.S. strikes on Karg Island totally demolished the military infrastructure there, but we may have to hit a few more times just for fun. Read that again, folks. This is the President of the United States. We may have to hit them a few times more just for fun. This person is not fit to govern, okay? Is not fit to be president of anything, not even president of Trump University, okay? He's not fit. He's crazy. He's detached from reality. This guy is completely out of his mind. Okay. Just for fun. This guy just landed in the White House 12 months ago, 13 months ago. And he's talking like it's the U.S. military is his own private army. And shame on every U.S. commander, shame on the Joint Chiefs, shame on General Kane and all of you people that have rubber stamped this illegal war. And if there's Nuremberg trials, the results of the first Nuremberg trials, read the conclusions of the Nuremberg principles. Just following orders, just following the commander in chief, that's not an admissible defense in a war crimes trial, according to U.S. law and international law. Every single person, every officer, every person who took part in this, in the Pentagon, from Pete Hegseth right down the line, and in the U.S. military and armed services, you are all a party to war crimes and crimes against humanity. And I was just following the president's orders. No, you were executing an illegal, unconstitutional act of war, an undeclared war of aggression. And this is your commander in chief. Let's just go hit him just for fun. Disgraceful. You're not defending America. You're not defending freedom. You're literally going to war for Israel and for U.S. corporations in the defense sector, for their profits, for their dividends, for their bottom lines. That's who you're fighting for. You're fighting for transnational corporations. You're fighting for Palantir. You're fighting for Bill Gates. You're fighting for Elon Musk. And you're fighting for this clown that some people still call president. Let's just go bomb them a few more times for fun, says Donald Trump. I mean, folks, this is a joke. You know, the calls will soon come to remove him from office by hook or crook. 25th Amendment, he's lost touch with reality. I think that's beyond debate at this point. But, you know, don't take my word for it. Let's hear. Let's hear. Okay, so this is, I believe this is a clip from the Daniel Davis show this week, and somebody who I have great admiration and respect for, who is a brilliant lawyer and a brilliant political mind. His name is Robert Barnes. He's an American attorney. He used to be in the Trump advisory circle, no longer, and you'll see why he's not in Trump's circle anymore, because he actually knows what he's talking about. And he knows exactly what's going on. Listen to this. This is his take. I have to say this is just incredibly accurate, but here it is.
Nixon, Watergate, talking to paintings at the end around the White House as if they're real people. That's where Trump is mindset-wise. It's very King Lear going mad. Kind of that the combination of Lindsey Graham, Bibi Netanyahu, it's what he believes, what he wants to believe. And he ignores whatever he doesn't want to believe. And it's becoming very, very dangerous because he's utterly disconnected from reality. And it's where positive thinking can go AWOL. So it's a combination of the Israel lobby promises that he made to basically go along with whatever Bibi Netanyahu requested. And this has been his life dream. This is why you don't have a coherent strategy being announced. You don't have a coherent plan being announced. You don't have coherent objectives. He did it for the Israeli donors and Bibi Netanyahu. But he can't fully say that. Rubio implicitly acknowledged it and admitted it. It's leaked out from various parts of the press. But that's why, but he can't publicly acknowledge that. So that's why he's got to go around and pretend he did it. And thus the objectives keep shifting. The plan keeps shifting. The reasons keep shifting.
I mean, folks, yeah, King Lear, that's an apt, I think, metaphor or analogy to this current ridiculous, this imperial, let's call it what it is, folks. We are witnessing an imperial train wreck. This is an imperial train wreck, and you are able to watch it in real time. Take a mental snapshot of this point in history, folks, because you may never see it again. This may be the undoing of the United States as a constitutional republic. And this would, if that's the case, if that happens, mark my words, you can lay it all at the feet of Donald Trump and this gaggle of degenerate zealots that he has surrounded himself with, the Israeli lobby, and Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay? These people want to bring the United States down with them, and they're doing a fantastic job of it. Okay? The sad thing is, and the dangerous part of this is, how many people are they going to kill? How much damage are they going to do around the world before they destroy themselves? That's the fundamental question. Okay? That's the question we're putting out. So, I mean, this guy's unbelievable. So, just to show you where this is heading, the United States just issued this warning. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad urges all American citizens to leave Iraq immediately. On Saturday, after the embassy was attacked overnight for the second time since the war with Iran started. Now, the U.S. have been at war with Iran for years. But the warning said militias allied with Iran. No, those are Iraqi militias. The U.S. just has to propagandize everything. They have to twist everything, even their official statements. They have to insert their propaganda line. Militias allied with Iran? No. The Hashd al-Shabi, the People's Mobilization Units in Iraq, they're nested under the Iraqi Ministry of Defense. Yes. But you know what? Most of Trump's advisors wouldn't know that because most of them don't have a clue what they're doing and they know nothing about anything. What I'm saying now is probably like news to J.D. Vance. He's vice president. He's AWOL, by the way. He disappeared. Like Tulsi Gabbard, AWOL. Ran away, disappeared, staying out of the press, not saying anything controversial. God forbid. So militias allied with Iran have carried out numerous attacks on targets associated with the United States. In diplomatic facilities? No, not diplomatic facilities, intelligence facilities. Because the U.S. has proven that they will use their embassies as CIA stations everywhere on the planet. And you know what? They've been doing it for years. They've been doing it for 70 years. But they still think the world is stupid. So that's the problem. That's why you don't weaponize your diplomatic facilities and turn them into spook hubs, because they will end up getting targeted and you can't cry about it after the fact. So you go and launch a war against Iraq's neighbor, Iran, an unprovoked war of choice, an undeclared war of aggression, and you're surprised that the Iraqis are upset about this? And it wasn't the United States that destroyed the country of Iraq? Not only destroyed it, but put their boot on their neck and rubbed the face of that nation into the dirt for 15 years after the invasion and shock and awe operation? And you think the Iraqis are still outside the gates of your embassy with flowers and garlands, waiting for you to pass out, for our soldiers, our Marines to pass out candy to them? Do you guys really think that's the way it is? I mean, you read these official statements and you just wonder what reality these people are in. It is recommended Americans travel overland to neighboring countries because commercial flights were not operating, and warned them not to come on the embassy. How long till Donald Trump launches airstrikes against Iraq? Well, it already started. The United States reportedly hit a PMU base in Iraq just this week. I can't tell you how dangerous that is. Well, it's dangerous for the U.S. This was all avoidable, by the way. But Israel had to have their way. Incredible, right? Now, it gets even more interesting. So, Tucker Carlson, there is a rumor, well, Tucker said it himself, they're preparing some kind of an arrest for Tucker Carlson, the Trump administration. So the government will have crossed the Rubicon, says Cenk Uygur, host of the Young Turks. Now, I used to absolutely rail on Cenk Uygur. during the Biden administration. And, during Trump 1.0 with Russiagate and all this stuff. Okay. I think we can bury the hatchet. Cenk has been absolutely incredible with his commentary post October 7th. And he's just getting better and better. And so I'm happy to see the left rediscover their anti-war bona fides, and also understanding the problem Israel presents. So Cenk says, everyone will know the real reason was that Tucker opposed the war and opposed Israel. Thank you, Cenk. He'll be considered the first American political prisoner within our own country. Well, not the first, but the most high profile. Okay. So that's what Tucker's saying. That's what Cenk's saying here. Let's listen to Tucker Carlson himself, who just recently put this out. We're going to play this because it's so important that people hear this from Tucker himself.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it, and that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living.
So do you see what's going on here, folks? So Tucker Carlson is a journalist, and the Trump administration is trying to criminalize journalism. This is the exact same thing that MAGA accused the Biden administration of doing and running a censorship industrial complex, Obama raiding the offices of AP and journalists and so forth. Remember the uproar? Remember all that? A continuation under Biden and under Trump. This is a paranoid regime at this point in Washington. So if that's the case, and if they're hell-bent on going after Tucker Carlson for doing journalism, he's right. He has to talk to everybody because he has to know what's going on so that he can inform the American people. So Tucker understands his job as a journalist. He needs to be very well informed about what's going on so that he can inform the American people. He's got a massive platform. Now, I, for one, want the people with massive platforms to be super well informed, to be as objective as possible and fact-driven. And not only that, well, Tucker has exhibited all these things, but he is also, he's committed this cardinal sin in America. He started criticizing the undue influence that the Israeli lobby, Netanyahu, and the state of Israel have over this administration. Cardinal sin. No one in any mainstream or big platform is allowed to do that. If they do, they will reap the whirlwind. And there's a lot of people now commenting they fear for Tucker's safety. I do as well. Everybody should. But there are many journalists, independent journalists, who have been reporting, including who have gone to Iran, including myself, three and a half, almost 4 weeks ago, roughly. But when I was there, there were BBC reporters there. There's Sky News reporters. Both of those people putting out fake news. That was a good education for me to see them in action. And then we also have CNN is there and other media outlets. Now, I will say that it's it should be embarrassing for the so-called right that if you want to get more accurate news about what's going on in Iran right now, you have to go to CNN. Because in general, the reporting that they've been doing from Iran has been relatively accurate for mainstream standards. We don't have high expectations for the mainstream media. But so Trump has now given journalistic kudos back in the hands of CNN. So great achievement from Donald Trump. So anyway, I'm just saying, folks, I'm looking at the coverage, looking at the way that some of the reporters, and now they could turn around and turn it into a propaganda train wreck like tomorrow. And I fully expect they're capable of that. CNN, we're talking about, especially if they fall under the Larry Ellison umbrella. Okay, why is Israel and Israeli donors buying up all of our media outlets? Well, I suppose Israel has just no influence in the United States. There are some people out there making this argument, and this is just it's not a serious argument. At this point, anybody making the argument that Israel doesn't have not only influence over this administration, but are front-running all of its foreign policy decisions and military actions, anybody who's making the argument that that's not the case in the face of all of this overwhelming evidence is not serious, or they're making an emotional argument, or they're gaslighting. And why are they gaslighting? Why would people be doing that? I have no idea. But let me just tell you, if Mary Madelson and the Israeli lobby dumped $600 million into Republican campaigns, including the president, $250 million into Donald Trump's coffers, okay? That's what they did in 2024. Do you think they did that for laughs? Do you think they did that just for fun? Do you think they did that not expecting anything in return? If you do, you got to go get your head checked. Get your head checked. Not only did they get something in return, we now know they handpicked every member of Trump's cabinet. And if you understand American politics, then you'll know, if you spend time in America and you're engaged in American politics, then you'll know people equals policy. People equals policy. And if a foreign government, a foreign entity is selecting your cabinet and has control over your president, a president whose family has literally married into the mafia, literally, then they're going to be making decisions on your foreign policy, and they're going to be driving military decision-making as well. And the U.S. have joint operations with Israel, joint operations, and it's on an equal basis. So this tiny little country in the Middle East has joint equal operation command center with the United States, who's this giant global empire. So the U.S. is a world superpower. There's no doubt about that. They do have the world's most powerful military, intelligence apparatus, everything. Most powerful economy, U.S. dollar, world reserve currency, unrivaled. Weaker now than 10 years ago, but yet still unrivaled. But in terms of political decision-making and power and control over that, it's under the major influential hand of a foreign government, and that's provable. And it has been provable for decades. And Israel funds all of those think tanks in Washington that produce all those papers. So what you're really reading there in all that strategy, all those strategy papers, is not necessarily U.S. imperial agendas, but look at who funds them. Look at the individuals who are producing those papers. Look at the institutions and how they're aligned. They reflect the Israeli agenda. It's kind of a no-brainer. And what about the clean break document? The entire neoconservative movement, driven by a very tight coterie of Israelis, dual citizens, Israeli loyalists, hardcore Zionists in the U.S. government in the 1990s and in the 2000s. But I guess Israel has no influence over the U.S. Must be just a coincidence, and shame on me for even bringing that up. So reality check, folks. So on from Cenk here. So when we talk about the censorship, this is Pete Hegseth. Now, this was in October 25th. We reported on this at the time. We said how shocking this was. A massive amount of media outlets walked out of the Pentagon because Pete Hegseth said, you have to put your reporting through my office to check it before you publish it. Now, this is like a Stalinist sort of level of control. So all these journalists walked out, and Pete Hegseth turned around and called them the fake news media. I mean, in America, you might not like the mainstream press, but you can't tell them to run their articles through your military censor before they're allowed to publish them on U.S. soil. You might be able to get away with that with embedded reporters in Iraq, that propaganda hellhole that you guys created during the war. You might get away with it there, but not on U.S. soil, not in Washington, D.C., not if you actually believe in the U.S. Constitution that you swore an oath to defend and protect. Seriously? So here's the man himself. Let's listen to, well, don't take my word for it. Now here's Pete Hegseth. I mean, this is just one of many, this guy, I don't know what to say about this guy at this point.
There were some who interpreted, Mr. Secretary, what you said earlier in the week, that reporting about casualties is done to make the president look bad. Do you believe that?
I just know the media spends a lot of time making cheap shots at the commander-in-chief. They made a whole industry doing it. And so ultimately, far too often, networks and reporters spend all their time trying to find things that are wrong.
Oh, woe be us. Woe be us, Pete Hegseth, for criticizing you and your self-styled Department of War and this maniacal, insane, quasi-senile president, your commander-in-chief, when your own Secretary of State admitted you launched the war for Israel. It's an illegal war, it's unconstitutional, and all you should get is criticism and shots, pot shots from the press. But you can't handle it. You can't handle it. Because you, sir, are a Fox News weekend host. You were a political nobody a year and a half ago, and you were plucked out of obscurity on Fox, put in as the head of the Pentagon. You were a lowly reservist major. You were a guard at Guantanamo Bay, lording over sheep herders, goat herders, taxi drivers, school teachers in orange jumpsuits from Afghanistan. That's what you were doing while you were a major in the military. You're not qualified to be Secretary of Defense, and you have no authority to rename that department to the, quote, Secretary of War or the Department of War. But that's what you've done. You've been promoted to this galactic level of authority, being totally unqualified, not to mention you are emotionally unstable and visibly unhinged. And you would be. If someone like you was doing a job like that, anyone would be unhinged. Anyone would be emotionally unstable because they have no business being there in the first place. And look at the disaster. Look at the carnage. Look at the damage you've done to the United States of America. You wear that stars and stripes, this little lapel sort of ornament on your suits. You've got all these patriotic tattoos all over your body, okay? All for show. Because the one thing that you should be defending and protecting, you have basically discarded and chucked under the bus. And that, my friend, is the U.S. Constitution. Because that's the only thing that matters. If you lose that, if you delegitimize that, you don't have a country. It's as simple as that. And that's what you power-hungry maniacs don't get. And that's why you did things like this, which is tell the press to run their reports through your office. And then shock horror, they all walked out. So we have a Defense Department or a War Department where you don't really have a lot of journalists in there. You've got these clowns from Breitbart or Lindell TV or whoever. You know, I guess Newsmax is allowed in. I mean, it's a joke. So only people that are sycophant media outlets kissing the administration's arse, they're allowed in. Nobody else is. It's a joke. Okay. So this brings us to the ultimate question here. And a lot of people are saying, you know, who is Donald Trump? Some people say Donald Trump is the latter-day Caligula. Okay. Others would say, as Robert Bryan said, he's like King Lear, you know. So, or I'm going to suggest that Donald Trump is neither Caligula, the sort of crazy Roman emperor. I mean, around 37 AD, Caligula basically made famous, well, the theatrical performance of Caligula by Malcolm McDowell in the film in 1979 was absolutely brilliant. That rendition of Caligula, but he was killed by his own guard after 4 years. He's completely insane. So he was initially popular, but he just went, the fame, the power went to his head. Now, that does describe Donald Trump a lot. It's a very apt description, but maybe not quite accurate enough. Now, King Lear, that's an interesting comparison. And I think you can make that argument, you know, surrounded by people that are just telling him what he wants to hear. A senile old dictator was King Lear, and obsessed with the control over his public image to be viewed as a success. This ticks a lot of boxes with Trump. And you look at the retarded memes that are put out by this White House. I mean, these AI slop that the Trump administration are putting out have just brought the office and the country into disrepute. You know, it's beyond embarrassing at this point. So, you know, one would say somebody who would allow that is not fit to lead a country, let alone the United States. And then, at this point, what can we say? So I'm saying that Trump is Crassus. Trump is more like Marcus Crassus. That's the one in the middle. Why? Because Marcus Crassus is, the power behind Caesar and Pompey at the time. We're talking about, 50 BC, the century before the birth of Christ. So Crassus was marked by this relentless pursuit of wealth and military glory and greed. And that does tick a lot of boxes with Donald Trump. And the thing that got me interested in this comparison was Crassus. One of his money-making schemes was, fires would break out around Rome and, as if by magic, maybe not coincidentally, who knows, but Crassus would show up with his slaves. It was like his own fire brigade. So Crassus had this had his slaves, and they had a fire brigade, a bucket brigade, and they'd show up when the burning building is up in flames. He'd show up, and he would refuse to put out the fire. The owners would be outside. Crassus, will you please, help put out the fire? And he said, no. I'll buy your building and the land around it at some cut rate price, and unless they agreed to take his offer, he wouldn't put out the fire. But if they agreed, he'd then put out the fire real quick. So this is how he got rich. This is just like another level of ambulance chasing. And then Crassus eventually died in the illegal failed invasion of Parthia in 53 BC. And why that's significant is because that marked the beginning of the sharp decline of the Roman Empire. Okay. It was a long, painful decline at that point, which took a few hundred years more. But it was Crassus who kind of presided over this epic defeat. And this is where we see a lot of similarities with Donald Trump. And so from that point of view, just this, self-styled businessman, there's a lot of King Lear in there. There's a lot of Caligula in there as well. But in terms of the timeline and what Trump represents in the American empire, I think Marcus Crassus. I think Trump is not Caligula. Trump is Crassus. But anyway, it's just something that we can argue about and debate about here. So why is this getting increasingly dangerous? Well, look at this headline. Top Trump advisor, I think this is David Sachs, calls for an off-ramp to the Iran war. Warns that Israel may consider using nuclear weapons. You saw how desperate Israel's getting. Okay. Now, Haaretz ran this story, and they had to change the headline. I went to look for it. It's gone. They replaced it with this. Israel could use nuclear weapon. Top advisor calls for off-ramp war, warns Israel could just be destroyed. That's Haaretz. That's an Israeli media outlet. It's not a U.S. outlet. It's not a foreign outlet. No, that's Israeli. So this is what's being published. This is what's being talked about. Are you seeing this on Fox? Folks, Americans, are you seeing this on Fox? You're not, are you? No, you're not. Not seeing that on Fox. But that's what's in Israel. That's in the Israeli press. Okay? Somebody is concerned at this newspaper about what's happening in Israel and the madness of Netanyahu and the madness of Trump. So, don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say here. So, this is the question. What happened to this guy? Where is this guy? Where is this guy? He's conspicuously absent. Now, I saw reports of the Wing of Zion, his plane. This is a stupid title for a name of a presidential plane. But anyway, it was hovering over Germany last time I checked. And why is the Israeli president in Germany? Why? I can see him escaping to Cyprus to go hide when the missiles are falling, or, escape to Greece, or who knows, escape to the U.S. So while Israelis are getting hammered by Iranian missiles, Benjamin Netanyahu took off. He legged it. Now, there are accusations that he, when running into one of his bunkers, that the bunker got hit by Iranian missiles. They penetrated the bunker, and Netanyahu may have been seriously injured or worse. Now, whether that's true or not, how accurate that some of that reporting is, that's, there have been television addresses made, or at least broadcast by him. So he may be alive. He may have recovered from injuries. He may be dead. Whatever the case may be, eventually we're going to find out. But what's important here is the tale of two leaders. Netanyahu runs into bunkers, and Ayatollah Ali al-Khamenei said, "I'm not going into the bunker. I'll die in my own house." And the Israelis and the Americans murdered him and his members of his family in an unprovoked, undeclared war of aggression. But the Iranian leader did not run and hide. The Israeli leader did, and does, and continues to run and hide. So that really, I think, speaks volumes. But that's the power behind Trump's throne right there. This is the embodiment of evil. It's hard to argue that that's not the case at this point. Netanyahu, unbelievable. And so here's Ann Coulter. This is another one of those MAGA journalists here, and she's saying, Iran has dispatched operatives to Mexico, where from the Texas border they fired missiles at an American base unintentionally. What? But carelessly. What are we talking about here? demolished an American school, killing 175 people. Oh no, she's doing a. We suppose Iran dispatched operatives to Mexico. Whatever. What if they blew up fuel depots, showered a chemical rain on the residents, and then struck homes and so forth? This is Ann Coulter, basically making a turn the tables comparison here with Trump. In that case, President Trump and all of us would howl at the outrageous attacks on innocent civilians, and we'd be right. So even Ann Coulter is going against Donald Trump. Even the likes of Ann Coulter are going hard in the paint against Trump. So again, MAGA is just deteriorating at this point. So this is what's dominating the U.S. news. Leaked intel warns of Iran's sleeper cells in the U.S. That's dominating the U.S. So, I'm getting false flag vibes. Yep. The FBI are saying they received an anonymous tip in early February that Iran was alleging to conduct surprise attacks in the U.S. with drones. Really? Interesting. But the war started on February 28th. So the timelines don't add up. What, unspecified targets in California? Are you guys serious? Is this the slop that's coming out of the FBI? What are we doing here? Prepping for a false flag narrative? Is that what we're doing? Top U.S. drone expert says Iran could make a deadly California. Why would they go to California? Like what? Is that to rile up the Iranian diaspora in Glendale or Pasadena or what? I mean, this is a joke. Is this to is this to rile up Patrick Bet-David's podcast? Anyway, and again, as if by magic, at the same time, U.S. Army offers a $5,000 reward. I mean, that'll get you a tuna sandwich and a bag of chips in America. A $5,000 reward for information after 4 drones were stolen from Fort Campbell in Kentucky. Wow. Isn't that amazing how all this links up? I don't suppose there's a false flag plot being planned in America. Absolutely not. It's impossible. Why would I even think such a thing? I mean, I must be a crazy conspiracy theorist. Anyway, look, let's take a break right now and connect with our teammates in the Overdrive. Looking forward to hearing what the guys have to say. Hesher, possibly Ruckus, Basil Valentine. We'll be seeing them on the other side. In the meantime, folks, we'll be back in just a few minutes. Enjoy the music of the Real Anthem Band, lead singer Sean Helton, amazing. And we'll probably play that the new Joseph Arthur track again. But we'll see you in a few minutes.
Show of secret talks, a cold stealing serpent calls, buildings burn, masking riot shots. It's TV terror, watch the will of God. Hey, here we are, heaven come down. Here we are, coast consuming all our lives. Rejuvenate, resist the pulling dark. False flags and endless wars. Mass form psychosis waged. Forced medical tyranny. The complications we'll soon see. Hey, here we are. Heaven come down. Here we are. Heaven come down.
Nobody here wants your war. We see through it all and we know the score. You saw yourself off just like before, chasing the ghost of something more. More money, more death, more greed makes the children bleed. More oil, more land to feed. An endless need. It's an endless need. An endless need. It's an endless need. Nobody here wants your war. Thousands will die, maybe many more. The ghosts will find you knocking on your door. Nobody here wants your war. More money, more death, more greed makes the children bleed. More oil, more land to feed. It's an endless need. Endless need. It's an endless need. Endless need. Nobody here wants your war. Schoolhouses burn and the tickers run. Who were they to you? Nothing more. But they were somebody's daughter and somebody's son. More money, more death, more greed makes the children bleed. More oil, more land to feed. An endless need. More money, more death, more greed makes the children bleed. More oil, more land to feed. An endless need. It's an endless need.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. We're streaming out live on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook Live. We're also on the audio streams, as well as alternate current radio, of course, and 21st Century Wire. And again, I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. I'm going to bring our teammates from ACR up on stage in just a moment. But before we do that, we want to recognize some people who have come through in the clutch for us. We one last push, remember last week, for the winter fundraising drive, and we wanted to make it a memorable one. So we hit our goal of 15,000, and we wanted to push a little bit harder to get to 20 for this year. And it's a massive undertaking, but I want to recognize some people that have come through. Ronald. Thank you, Ronald. Ronald, the composer, donation. Paul K. Tour de Malaga, lifetime membership. Thank you so much. Robert P. Another great donation. Howard S. Little Carol. Thank you so much. took out a lifetime membership. Amazing, for 21wire.tv. Renee P, Kirk C, big donation from Kirk. Thank you. Jeremy K, Garth H. Thank you, Garth. Big donation there. Stan H. Thank you, Stan. Josephine N. Mary K. Thank you, big time, Mary, on that. Greg H. Also, Paul M. 21 Wire member Russell B. Thank you very much, Russell. Anna S. Another member at 21wire.tv, new member, as well as Michael R. Thank you. Another member and another AF donor, a new donor there. So thank you very much. Now, let me just recognize there's a couple of other names in here we want to look at. Hold on, let me bring those up on stage. Jason H., Franklin L., Louise, Glenn G., Roberto N., Quantes Borca, Alexander G., Donna M., Elizabeth N., Howard H., Shiraz M., another donation. Thank you, Stephen, for that membership. He's subscribed, 21wire.tv. John S., Steve O., Craig G., we've also got Nicholas P., William, big donation. Thank you, William. William S., longtime donor. William's always come through in the clutch for us, and we really appreciate his support over the years. Thank you, William. Carmen S., another donation. Chris H., thank you. Ronald K., Gene P., and Steve C. Donald M., PAE. Thank you very much. And just lastly, a couple more names here on the honor roll. Linda G., thank you very much, Linda. Cynthia H., Stan H., Ben T., thank you very much. Member Cheryl T., thank you. It's 21wire.tv member. Thank you very much. Catherine A., Frank D., and also Anu S., Richard H., Natalia B., Dr. M., you know who you are, Ned N., Arad G., and Marilyn B., core membership, both of those, Arad and Marilyn, thank you very much. And also Ned took out a membership, subscribe to 21wire.tv. So, you guys, amazing. So as of right now, we're almost to that bonus, that second goal we're pushing for 20. We're just a few hundred short. We're nearly there. And I think we'll probably be there by the end of the show. So again, you can go to 21wire.tv. There's a donate tab, the gold button, or hit that QR code there. We'll leave that QR code as well. It'll take you to our landing page. We'll leave that up on screen after the show when we're going into the outro. But just go to our website and you'll see this page with all these different options you can support us. So that's, you guys, amazing. And this is massive for us. We are trying to put together sub-editors. We're buying content. We're doing lots of stuff. All of this stuff costs money. This will support us for the next year, basically, into 2026. We're also producing a new program. It's somewhat high-end. It's going to be very expensive. So there's a lot of different things that we're having to put together, and you guys are helping to make that happen, including on the ground reporting, which we've done recently. Could only have happened with your support, and we're going to do more of that during the year. So thank you again, appreciate it, everybody. Thank you so much. Now let me bring our teammates up here. Hesher, Bryan McClain, host of the Boiler Room on ACR, who is always showing flair along with Ruckus in terms of their background imagery here. So poignant and so apt for our theme today. Let me see. So we've got Julius Caesar as Trump. We've got Pompey. Possibly there's Netanyahu. Pete Hegseth. Actually, that's Pompey. And Netanyahu is just another Caesar, I guess, in this.
They are hard to tell apart, even in real life, huh?
Yeah, but that's kind of it's so fitting. I mean, Mike Pompeo lost so much weight, he can't be in the toga anymore like before, but with the Ozempic, ODing on the Ozempic. But that's quite a rendering here. Ruckus is coming in with a slightly different visual theme with the Statue of Liberty and the American Eagle, but it looks like the sort of broken up Roman Colosseum here, Washington, the swamp has reclaimed Washington, D.C., and there's various swamp creatures, no doubt, swimming under the surface there. So, yeah, that's the general theme of the show, guys. I mean, what are your thoughts on what we're seeing here? I'm seeing that this is an imperial train wreck in real time. We'll go to Hesher first and then Ruckus, but your general thoughts on what you've seen happen in this week.
Yeah, ghoulish global imperialism seems to be the name of the game, right? Now seems to be the inflection point where the international bankers that seem to control most everything behind the scenes are gathering around the grand chessboard with great excitement, right, to start knocking pieces off of the board and using the geopolitical environment to tell the public that this is all just organic. This was all just going to happen anyways, right? No, I don't think so. I do not buy that. I don't think many people buy that anymore, as they're not even trying to psyop us hardly at all. Unless you're so brain plugged, so skull plugged, so like you've got, I used to say you got CNN piping into your third eye in a digital media beer bong every day. Well, it's gotten worse. Now we have full on 24/7 infinite propaganda, doom, and AI slop scroll. So last night we did Boiler Room, and we called it Uncertainty by Design. And we themed the show around that because literally 6 years and 4 days ago, we were gifted from that same group of disgusting, inhuman people I was talking about, the COVID 1984 situation. And that was when we were handed the new abnormal, the new normal. And apparently, in the new normal, the new abnormal, imperialism is the name of the game. Rank technocracy, setting up the technate, is the name of the game. And something like this that could lead to World War III is something we're supposed to just, blink away or trust the plan on. Sorry, no, there's just too many avenues for further skull plugging here. And yeah, we had a long boiler room last night, Pat, and we went through a lot of the stuff we've seen in the last 2 weeks, and it was difficult to remain calm, but that was something I was trying to do throughout the show. So, yeah, this is quite an interesting time, Pat. I appreciate your opening monologue there this morning, and my gosh, why does Bibi Netanyahu have 6 fingers and racks of teeth that are disappearing every time he opens and closes his mouth?
I mean, look, I'm just saying it's there's some weird stuff out there, and so we'll find out, won't we? We'll find out soon enough what the true situation is. But the main part about that is, and thank you for that broad brush picture, Hesher. But the main thing is that we are absolutely being lied to about everything that's happening in this war by the White House, by our mainstream media. And they're doing it because for them, it's part of the war. The media coverage and restricting information and saying who's winning and who's losing is actually part of their military operation. So it's just so people understand that. That's because it's been proven every other time before. So why wouldn't it be happening now? So unless they're telling the truth now and everything is as exactly as they said. But how could that be if Iran just launched their biggest missile barrage 2 days ago? Their biggest. Something's not, I don't know. Maybe, again, who are we to comment on such matters? Lowly podcasters.
But there's a contradiction at every turn. It's like even Trump himself is saying things that are contradictory to what the Pentagon, to what even Hegseth is saying. You know, I'm speaking in particular about the school that was missiled. You know, Trump is still saying, you know, oh, you know, he basically is like, oh, I don't know, we'll find out, but I'm told it was the Iranians that did that. So the Iranians on day one of this unprovoked imperialist attack on a sovereign nation decided they were going to use 4 Tomahawk missiles made in the USA to blow up one of their own schools with 3 of them, and then wait, you know, if Scott Ritter's correct, and then wait and loiter the 4th one around until parents and first responders show up, and then drop it and flick on the thermobaric feature. I mean, are you freaking kidding me? That's day one. Where did this intel come from? Who gave them this intel? That's my big question.
Well, Ruckus, your thoughts just in general. What are we witnessing here?
Well, I mean, it's not like our closest and greatest ally in the region would be providing us any sort of information. And if they did, I'm sure it would be spot on correct, 100%. And we should just trust it and go right with it without asking anyone else for a second opinion, right? Yeah, no, clearly there's that option that perhaps Israel, obviously, or some as of yet unknown space alien race has fed Donald Trump some sort of wrong information and he truly believes what he's saying, or he's going along with it because he's one of them. I mean, there's just so many darn options, but it cannot be ignored the fact that literally we're already at that point that we keep dancing around and talking about. And we bring up the quote of the former head. That's a good one there, Hesher. The William Casey, who said that we'll know our disinformation campaign is complete when everything that the people believe is a lie, et cetera, or whatever. But we're at that point. Like, this is the literal post-truth world. Man, if World War III, this is the worst time for World War III to happen, is in this kind of environment with this type of technology, with the social media, post-COVID. I mean, this is just all like, you want to tell me this wasn't planned all along for exactly this moment, this time, for us to question literally everything coming from our government. We have to question the things coming from Iran. We have to question ourselves. We have to question our friends and our family when they call us or text us on the phone. I mean, it's just, it's so confusing. And for me, I can't spend time worrying about that because it's all unknowables, it's all improvable. So I'm just focusing right now on the clear, simple fact. Not that long ago, Donald Trump, as well as pretty much everyone inside of his administration, as far as the prominent, well-known household names, the folks that we actually, know, not the ones that were handpicked by Israel that were like, oh, who's this weird banker guy, right? But like the Pete Hegseths, the Marco Rubios, the what's the lady who disappeared, who's the head of the DNI with the white hair, Tulsi Gabbard? They were all against this exact type of stuff. I mean, there are a lot of great independent researchers right now showing like supercuts that are not even that old of Donald Trump saying how horrible it is for regime change, and the war in Iraq was horrible, and talking smack about Obama, talking smack about Biden, talking smack about everybody and everything. And these were the promises that this is why everyone was like, yeah, going crazy during his rallies before he was elected, because we thought we were electing somebody who was going to say goodbye to all of that crap. And, unfortunately, what we got now is the exact opposite. In fact, we've got MAGA literally cheerleading for war. And I mean, this is where it's at. This is where everybody needs to just stop. Hold on a second. What the heck are we doing here, folks? And then maybe we can worry about, what's real and what's not with the war. But why are we even cheerleading it? If any of this stuff is true, why do we sit here and go, yeah, that's awesome? Who are you people? What happened to MAGA? What happened to Trump? What happened to Tulsi? What happened to Mark? Well, yeah, Marco didn't really change, but you know what I'm saying, So again, this full 360, and then that leads to the big question in the room with all the files with the black bars in it. Is that related to this? Is that why these people appear to have done a full 180? Or did space aliens from Mars come and kidnap them and they're all skin suits?
Or are they all space aliens? No, we won't even go there. I don't want to embolden some of the things that are coming in our chat room. You guys, I'm not even going to mention it because I'm afraid there'll be a barrage of it coming if I mention it. So I just won't mention it. Yeah, it's you guys, it's just so cartoonish. It's just so cartoonish. Trump saying, well, Well, we'll bomb them a few more times just for fun. Just for fun. I mean, are there any servicemen that are questioning what the hell they're doing? That they're following this nut job, this maniac, and it's completely unconstitutional, by the way, this whole war. So, I mean, at some point, someone's going to disobey orders,
Well,
because
what about the carrier with the toilet problem? There's a lot more talk, even more so as it continues to go, that was an intentional job from the sailors. I'm getting that from inside talk from people I know inside the military. So
yeah.
I'm like, well, maybe it's happening. Maybe the resistance is going on, but it's going to be very difficult for us to recognize it when it does happen.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of that too. We heard that initially and asked about it, kind of, time stamped it, just like we can't verify this yet, but this is something that's going around. And Greg Stoker, obviously, he was on the Freedom Flotilla, the Gaza Flotilla. And if you follow him on social media, you'll know he's very outspoken, and he is a military veteran. And I noticed on his social media feed about a week ago, approximately, he's very process oriented. I like the way he thinks most of the time. And he was talking about this. He was talking about, what if you are in the military and you are philosophically, ideologically, constitutionally, or religiously opposed to this imperialist action? There are forms you can fill out. And he laid the forms out, and kind of gave the process to the people that follow him. And I did note there were a lot of views on that post. A view doesn't necessarily equate to someone going and filling out the forms, but I kind of deduced that, there is a large contingent of people potentially in the U.S. military that do not approve of this, and they do have an off ramp. You can't get out of it. You know what I mean? You're not Donald Trump. You can't get your daddy to sign you out, but you can go through the process. And it's my understanding, at least, that you can go through a process, fill out forms, and get yourself a desk assignment somewhere else that's not, in a sandbox dying for a country that is not your own.
No, here. Thanks to Greg Stoker for doing that. By the way, Greg that's a real American patriot, because he actually cares about the rule of law that actually keeps the country together.
Great taste in heavy metal too.
Yeah. We'll try to get Greg on the program. If you haven't done already, we'll try to get Greg on the program.
Curiously, I'm wondering, Patrick, when Trump said that we would do that, maybe we'll do that just for fun, did he then offer to pay for those missiles out of his own pocket, or is that still going to come from the taxpayers?
Yeah. That's going to be a cool $500 million. So I guess we've got, we can just throw around $500 million a pop.
The sponsors will pay for it, like Palantir and OpenAI. I figured it out. They can put their logos right on them as they're falling on the schoolgirls. Yeah,
on the missiles. Yeah, I think that's a good. It's very business oriented, free market oriented solution. Thank you very much, Ruckus, for that. So here we go, guys. You saw the clownish reporting about drone attacks on California. I mean, just this. First of all, this is just ridiculous. Sleeper cells, nonstop sleeper cells. Okay, and that top drone experts. Iran's going to attack California. What? Anonymous tip. Early February. What the hell does that have to do with a war that started on February 28th? Or am I just being silly? I don't know. And then this. Oh, there's 4 drones missing from a U.S. base. I guess that happens all the time, doesn't it? So easy to steal drones from U.S. bases, right? Right? Right?
No.
Aren't they microchipped as well? So you can actually locate them no matter where they are? Hello?
Dude, if someone did a theft like that, I mean, come on. It's highly unlikely that a normie or an enlisted person or a civilian or someone, a civilian that works on a base could or would do that.
Okay, let's speaking of false flags, Didn't the same guy who took out an insurance policy on the Twin Towers right before the attack just buy a building in Los Angeles? Now, that is somewhat disturbing if true. So let's take a look. Has that actually happened? And if so, how serious of a risk is this? Well, let me have a look here. Yes, U.S. Bank Tower in Los Angeles, recently acquired by Larry Silverstein.
Oh,
Somebody check the insurance policy on this building, please, because I'm a little bit concerned.
who would give this guy an insurance policy at this point? Oh my gosh.
I'm just a little bit concerned that that building might be at risk if Larry Silverstein has purchased it, because he does have, and Frank Lowy, his business partner, do have horrible luck when it comes to terrorist attacks and their flagship properties, but they're very successful in claiming the insurance payouts. So, yeah, that's...
What's the address? Is there any strange numerology we should be paying attention to?
There could be. It's a high-profile, iconic building in downtown Los Angeles. And there's nothing strategically in L.A. that Iran would have any interest in, other than that's the biggest Iranian pro-royalist expat diaspora Iranian community in the country, and they all want to reinstall the King Pahlavi into power. So I guess that has nothing to do with it, right? So, I mean, anyway, we're just too good at this conspiracy theorizing, guys, and all this daily shooter slop. I don't even want to get into the synagogue. Did you guys see the synagogue attack and how many cops showed up? 1,000?
Probably 33,000.
Was it a bomb threat or whatever? I mean, it just so happened there was a drill at that very same, an active shooter drill just 2 weeks before. And maybe there was a drill on the day that we are not made aware of. But whatever the case, that drill went live. Obviously, otherwise 1,000 cops aren't going to show up. I mean, anyway, if that was a bomb threat in an Amish church, they would be lucky to get one cop showing up for that.
Was this the one where the name of the synagogue is Temple or something like that?
I'm not sure. I think it was in Michigan. And
yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it's got an interesting name too. I was like, that's very strange.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, you guys, Los Angeles, nothing to see here. Move along. Larry Silverstein's property portfolio. Don't even mention it. Forget it. Okay, guys, Tucker. We got a shorter than normal overdrive this week. As we, I don't know if I mentioned that at the beginning of the program, but last thing, guys, I don't want to get your comment on Tucker. What do you think in terms of, threats to Tucker, threats to arrest him, threats on his life, accusing him of being a traitor? Hesher, go ahead.
I don't know. It kind of takes me back to the previous administration and all the lawfare that was going on there. And overall, it's just disappointing, the concept of it. Like, I've kind of been watching the chat today, and people are divided on the top tier podcasters. We discussed this last night on Boiler Room a little bit. Like, there's a trope going around. It's now like, and maybe this even came from Sunday Wire, because we kind of kicked this off when we started looking at Sean Ryan's show after Sarah Adams came on it. And I kind of think this was the first place I heard the term, but CIA podcasts. They're calling, more and more people are getting lumped in that upper echelon, your Candace Owens, your Tucker Carlsons, your Megyn Kellys, your Nick Fuentes, et cetera, are kind of many being lumped into this CIA, quote unquote, CIA podcast, hashtag CIA podcast thing. And, the people that make this argument, I share some of their views. The people that have an argument against that being the case, I share some of their views too. So I'm a little bit agnostic on it, just because there are some identifiable unknowables in the equation, right? Too many variables. But something is definitely going on in that sphere, and I feel like it is a deeper layer of influencing and nudging And I wouldn't go so far as to call any of those people out and say, you are doing this knowingly. I think it's possible that some of these people are surrounded by folks, line producers and managers, etc., that sort of shape their day and expose them to certain viewpoints and thoughts and guests, and set up certain conflicts, to happen in that sphere. And it's great entertainment. It's great entertainment if it wasn't pumped into your third eye 24/7 and attached to your worldview. You know what I mean? That's when it becomes not great entertainment, and it becomes a psychological operation of some sort. And the concept of Tucker being actually charged and arrested, I think, is very possible, just because at this point in the West, humiliation rituals based on your country, your founding documents, your understanding of what a free country is. That's the first frickin' amendment we're talking about right there. We're talking about this government, the United States government, if this is all true and if it were to come true, the United States government acting like Zelensky or something like that, jailing a journalist for speaking to the wrong person after having illegally looked at his private messaging systems, right? We know they're not private. We know they can look at them. We know that violates our Fourth Amendment, but it happens anyways. So if this were to come to fruition, I wouldn't be super worried about Tucker. You know what I mean? Like, look at Steve Bannon, look at Donald Trump, look at Peter Navarro, look at all the high profile political prisoners that were, exactly. Yeah. During the Biden administration. And now look around. This is a level up from that. They're going to actually, they threatened us with all this writ large during the Biden administration, right? The disinformation board and all that. Oh, sorry, that was a little too far. We're going to dial that back. Well, here's Donald Trump again, and we're going to now arrest Tucker Carlson for wanting to go and do journalism. So it's absurd. If it is real, it will be one of the biggest humiliation rituals possible for the American public, for journalism as a profession, and for truth as a concept.
Well, if it does happen, Tucker becomes an American icon immediately, and just that's it. He's in the history books. And it's just the fact this is circulating is backfiring horribly, I think, on them. But look, when Hegseth is telling the press how to write their stories about the war, I mean, and he said, I know because I used to work in the business. Well, yeah, so you weren't doing journalism at Fox, clearly, because if you were a journalist, you wouldn't be saying that. So this guy is just completely off his nut. And just before I go to Ruckus here, Rupert Fellows gets somewhat of a honorable achievement award this week here. Does the tower in LA have asbestos in it? That is such an on-point question. Rupert Fellows, thank you. Lucky Larry has found another asbestos-ridden building in Los Angeles.
It was only $350 million to build, by the way, and he bought it in 2020 for $450 million. It was built in the 80s, I believe. I have all the numbers, so Ruckus can do the numerology and gematria on it later. But he only paid $100 more than it cost to build it. And imagine what it's insured for, a building like that, if you had to replace it in LA right now.
That's right. With such terrible loss of life, we thought the best thing to do was just, I told him to pull it. So we pulled it. We pulled the building.
I caught a story on my newsfeed that building was the home of a new Israeli art project. They have a bunch of these Israeli art students in there doing something. They moved in a bunch of boxes. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah, they're doing a performance art. They booked out the 100th floor or whatever. Yeah, or 40th floor.
Everything's fine and nothing.
They have a cinematography school too, and the cinematographers are sitting on a rooftop across the street.
Yep. So they'll be dancing in the streets, folks. As it were, dancing. And David Bowie and Mick Jagger dancing in the streets. Ruckus, your final thoughts on Tucker getting threatened with arrest, potentially thrown in the clink for doing journalism?
Well, it would be something's tracking here. Something is starting to click. Maybe this is the next major psyop. Maybe they're going to do something like that, because we were very questioning, and there were a lot of discussions about what this event meant for the First Amendment after the Charlie Kirk thing. Clearly, that was a different type of taking out. But if they throw this guy in prison, that's a different kind of taking out. They're taking him out of the, like the other thing, it sends a clear message. And, similar to some of the conspiracy theories about what happened to Mr. Kirk there, if they were to go after this guy, there's only one thing that he could have possibly been saying lately against a particular group or a country in particular. So it fits in with all of this stuff. That would further drive a huge wedge into an already divided MAGA, into an already divided independent media, the Republicans, it would just, that would be bad. It would cause a lot of extra chaos. And based on that, I say that, yes, they probably will try to make some sort of example out of him. I don't know how far that's going to go. It could go as extreme, and I'm just throwing this out there because Trump is exhibiting mad psychopathy. I don't know how to say it. The guy's crazy. He's talked about executing people publicly. If this guy is considered some sort of traitor and he aided the terrorists, and I mean, what if they want to kill the dude? You know what I mean? Publicly execute him and make an example. it could get wild. It could get scary. But I would hope before something like that happens, that what I think they really want is for everybody. I'm joking about MAGA cheerleading for war. Obviously, they're pissed off about this. So I think a lot of these things are the final nail in the coffin to just make everybody go, that's it. I'm done. They want everybody to pop off the handle, ultimate chaos, and then they swoop in with their solutions, That's my ultimate prediction.
That's right. Urban moving solutions, to be more accurate, Ruckus there. Keep an eye out for the van. And so for great comments today, we've rattled the 9/11 Hornet's nest. So you guys are just cranking them out. And yes, the Israelis are great dancers. This is true. Oh my goodness. Yep, that's right. Urban moving solutions have just started removing anything of value. Easy now, guys. Yes, a new production of Fiddler in L.A. Very clever, very clever. Erica Kirk and J.D. Vance, 28. Did you guys see that registered? Did you see that one?
Yeah. That's freaky. That's
Erica right there.
Yep.
As an evil clown. That whole thing's blowing up, by the way. She is 100% an operative. That was an arranged marriage.
Pretty clear at this point, man.
She got some fancy new position with some Air Force Academy thing or something.
Yeah, she got appointed to the board on the Air Force Academy. Of course, she's totally qualified for that, being a former beauty queen and the widow of Charlie Kirk. So absolutely qualified. So, yes, it's good that Israel has a position on that board. I think that's great. We're really happy about that. That's right. Ted Cruz was complaining that there's a meme of him circulating on the internet with an Israeli bikini on. I'm not going to show that clip, but it's so funny because he should never have mentioned it, because the minute he did, the comment threads just got pelted with images and new images of him in different Israeli bikinis. Talk about an own goal by Cruz. It's just, he hasn't learned anything after these years. It's just very strange. But anyway, 28D chess. Trump needs to remember that chess was being played in Iran in the 6th century. That's a good point. Do not underestimate the Iranians, guys, because they've been preparing for this war for 20 years. And Hegseth was preparing for it for 2 weeks.
Patrick, quick question. Sort of military logistics question. I recall about 2 years ago, approximately, doing a report on TNT one morning, and I was talking specifically about the U.S. military's readiness as it pertains to amphibious landing and ground operations. And I recall reading the numbers on it. And logistically, at least as far as I could tell, if what I was reading was accurate, the U.S. military is a little bit strapped as it comes to amphibious teams landing, the amount of fuel, the amount of logistical support that it requires to do it. especially in a place like Iran, right? And we're now seeing large numbers of troops moving that way, and there's a lot of scuttlebutt on the X and other places about a potential ground invasion. If what I was reporting was accurate, at least as of a couple years ago, that did not sound like a feasible attack plan.
not.
Are you hearing anything about this? Do you have anything you can add?
I don't. The number of troops that are being actually moved, it's nothing. It's 5,000 troops. It's they have to. They're going to get hit by missiles and drones. There's just indefensible supply lines. I mean, they can position it, they can posture, but practically executing that, I just don't see it personally. I think it's a flex, and we might see more of this flexing. We might even see some hit and run ops, possibly for the for the 11 o'clock news or the 7 o'clock news. But I just no, it's not practical.
Yeah, it seems like 5,000 would be maybe enough to start the logistics chain that would be required to serve maybe 10,000 actual infantry troops or something like that. It just doesn't see. It seems like it would be a very bad military idea to send that number onto the shores, foreign shores like that. That just sounds like a recipe for horror.
Well, they can pick them off with drones and missiles. As soon as you set up a camp, that's it. So, I mean, I just, I don't know.
Where do they sleep? How do they sleep? And the other thing I'm seeing is that all of the drones that are being taken out with our military equipment cost them about $20,000 to make and deploy, and cost us about $20 million to blow up just one. So,
yeah.
I mean, this is an exponential problem. This seems like simple maths for, generals and war planners and stuff. Like, what are they actually doing?
It will be a cakewalk. Just trust the plan, Hesher. Again, thank you so much for that.
35 GHT. I almost spit out my tea. Don't do that.
You guys, 3,000 on the live stream. Thank you guys for being on the stream, for retweeting the stream. And also, I believe over 2,500 comments across our different aggregate platforms. So that's amazing engagement. Awesome. We could war game this thing out all day, but we're gonna draw a line under it right now. And I just want to say thank you very much, Hesher and Ruckus, for joining us in this overdrive. And also, before we go, big shout out to ACR and Hesher, Ruckus. Quickly, programming this week. Where can people find you?
AlternateCurrentRadio.com. That's our website down there on Ruckus's screen. We did a live show last night. It was a absolute barn burner, so go check that out. It's up on the website. Uncertainty by Design was last night's program if you missed it. Thanks for having us, Patrick. We'll be throwing another boiler room down near the end of the week. I've got some travel things happening and stuff, so the date is to be determined. It might be Friday. We shall see. Stay tuned to my X at Hesher Media. Join our Discord. There's an invite to the Discord in the main hamburger menu up there in the upper right where you see those three lines. And I would like to close today with a ancient Chinese idiom, if that's all right. This was sent in by our friend Creative Accidents while you were doing your opening monologue because it rang true to him. So this is the story behind the Chinese idiom. It's quite well known. Most people know the story well enough to understand what it means. The story goes something like this. A guy who's already in very good position in the administration got ambitious. He wanted to be the emperor. He wasn't sure how the other ministers felt about the idea. During an executive meeting, he brought along a deer and said it was a rare horse that he liked to give to the emperor. The emperor was puzzled and questioned if it was just a deer. Then the guy suggested asking everyone in the meeting. Since most people heard about this guy wanting to be an emperor, they didn't have the nerve to argue with him. A few people did tell the truth that it was a horse. At the end of the day, the guy knew who was supporting him and who was against him. Nowadays, when we refer to something like pointing at a deer and calling it a horse, we actually want to mean that someone is trying to alter the truth. In the case of an autocratic government, they can force it with the law and everyone has to obey. Perhaps you might be more familiar with what was written in the novel 1984 by George Orwell. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. And of course, 2 + 2 = 5. It's about the same idea, the same anti-intellectual effect.
That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. So the emperor has no clothes. A deer is a horse. Freedom is slavery, and war is peace, my friends.
That's right. That's right. We're into the Orwellian. Firmament. Ruckus, go ahead before we wrap it up.
Thanks for having me. I try to never look a gift horse or deer in the mouth. We all know what's really going on is that this dude is ultimately as narcissistic and psychopathic as he appears to be. He's ultimately, at the end of the day, just a puppet. And we all know who's pulling his strings. It's this clown right here. Don't forget to follow us over at alternatecurrentradio.com. And I will leave everybody with my favorite quote. Read everything, listen to everybody. Don't trust anything unless you can prove it with your own research. That was, of course, the great William Cooper. Thanks again for having me, Patrick. God bless all y'all.
Thank you very much, Ruckus, Hesher, alternatecurrentradio.com. Go there, check out the programming, join the community on the Discord, and support the work of our ACR team. Take care, you guys. We'll see you very, very soon. Again, we hope, and keep our eyes out for crazy things that are going to happen, and no doubt we're going to cover them when we meet up next. So that's all we've got time for. Again, today, Hegseth has that as a tattoo. Shirley says, Chris Morrell 60. I thought I'd just throw that up there on screen. But you guys, thank you so much. And, again, a big thank you to everybody that stepped up for, we extended the winter fundraising drive. And you guys came through because of that. We're able to kind of move forward with some of the stuff to grow what we're doing. And also, there's some members content up on 21wire.tv. Some of you have seen that interview in performance by Joseph Arthur. That's up at 21wire.tv, the full interview. It's excellent. So if you subscribe, if you become a member at 21wire.tv, just hit that QR code. If you want that to happen, you want to join us, you want to get involved, you can do that there. And I think, I haven't seen the tally yet, but we were just a few hundred short of 20, which is going to give us a huge, huge boost into the spring and summer, you guys, and it will get us into the fall as well. And you'll see some amazing things happening as a result. And we're nearly there. I think we'll be there by the end of this show when we check, and we'll send out an email to you guys as well to give you an update on our how we're doing on that front. So again, hit the QR code there. If you want to support us, we really appreciate it. So that's all we've got time for this week. Go to 21stcenturywire.com and check out our daily reports. And I just did an interview, which is pinned at the top of our website. And it's about the U.S. empire. And it's a long-form interview with Saeed Moshin Abbas, great deep dive perspective, great host, great discussion, hour and 41 minutes. And we did the full gambit in terms of geopolitics, civilizational states, AI, everything, technocracy, the technate, everything. We covered it all. It's probably one of the best interviews I think I've probably done of all time. And so there's something in that discussion for everybody. We'll also be doing shorts from that interview as well. So that's up on our website right now. Just go to 21st Century Wire. Also, if you missed any of the shows, the Sunday Wire, you can catch us here on our podcast archive. That's up on the website as well. You can always catch us there. So anyway, you guys take care. It's been a great program. It's been a great episode 586 of this weekly Omnibus News and Analysis radio program here. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. Take care, you guys, and we will see you very soon. And we are praying for an end to this war. And we're also going to pray for the people in Iran, the people in the Middle East region, praying for the American government that it finds its brains and sanity in all of this and pulls itself back from the brink, which we all see we're on the edge of right now. So no exaggeration, you guys, no exaggeration at all. So off we go, Red Rumble, taking us out to the outro. I'll see you next week. Take care. All the best.
in the final analysis, we all inhabit this small planet, and we are all mortal.
Lately I've been watching the world gone mad. Brothers and sisters full to take a stand, to hate their fellow man, another man. Divide and conquer is the acronym plan. Distract the people, control the story. Don't believe your lying eyes, you know me. Stay in power no matter what. Play with the doomsday clock. Turn a blind eye and gather your trust. Pushing us to turn to good. Corruption and lies. Truth is the crime, will turn to gold. Well-designed misery to keep you on edge, make you believe anything anyone says. Keep it left or right, not top to bottom. Accuse the victim, can't you see we got 'em? Stay in power no matter what. Playing with the doomsday clock. Turn a blind eye and gather your trust. Pushing us to turn to good. With captured rights, feudals like time will turn to dust. Industrialized brutality, commercialized cruelty, people as commodity, cheer on war and atrocity, no accountability, perpetual impunity, always have an enemy. To hell with all humanity. Stay in power no matter what. Play with the doomsday clock. Turn a blind eye and gather your trust. Pushing us to turn to good.